sometime around the first of the year, I signed up for a website called StoryWorth.com. And I'll put a link to that down in the description of this video. Basically, I had been thinking about for some time how I could best go about leaving some type of a legacy of my life to my kids. Now, I had done the book that you handwrite in. Forgive my shaky voice, it's freezing out here. I'd done the books, but my handwriting is so atrocious, and I have 3 kids, and I'd have to write it 3 times, and I got tired of it really right away. And so I was looking for some digital way to just sort of answer some questions that maybe I had never talked about with my kids. StoryWorth seemed to sort of answer that question. So what it does is every Monday, it sends me a question by email. And I respond to that question, which then creates a sort of a blog post that I have opened up to my kids. So they're the only ones that see it. And every week for a year, I will answer those questions. And then at the end of the year, I opted for the plan where I can print that into a book. So I will have 3 books that I can give to my kids. Now, I'm not saying anything here. I plan on giving it to them probably after Christmas, so it's not anything that's a surprise to them. They know it's coming. When it started off, the first couple of questions were pretty easy. What were you like as a child? Did you ever get in trouble at school? Those kinds of things. And then last week, the question was, what were you like at 40? 40 was a weird time for me, and that's what I wrote. So I had to take some time. I actually didn't answer that question until Wednesday, but I took some time to really think about that transition from about 37, 38 to about 42. What was life? What was I like? Not what was life like. What was I like at age 40? That was a hard question for me. But I think that particular question, because it really struck a nerve to me, my answer evidently struck a nerve to my kids. Because, normally on a week-to-week basis, and they watch these videos, so they'll hear all this, but on a week-to-week basis, I don't know if they've read them or haven't read them. They don't comment on them, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to get that. I'm just trying to answer some questions. But on this particular post, they answered back. And I think that it struck a nerve for them as well. And that led me to want to talk about that in our conversations today. I think it's good for us to think about questions about why we're teachers, why we got into education, why we chose this particular field, why we are in high school and not elementary school, a whole host of things that it would be a really good exercise to answer a question. Whether you ever show it to anybody, whether you ever share it with the kids in your classroom, all of that is irrelevant. But I'm going to put a list of questions down in the comments. And my challenge to you this week is to pick one, just one, and write a thoughtful response. Again, you don't have to share it with anyone. Just go through the process. Go through the process of really thinking through the answer to that question and see where that takes you. You might be surprised. And then maybe you'll want to do a second one. And who knows? Maybe you'll want to share it. I'll see you next week.